So here's some basics of clay that we're going to look at to help you get a good start for the unit. So trying to make this a little interesting without reading this verbatim is clay, if you think about it, it's the stuff you get out of the ground. That's what they did way back in the years. But what we do in this clay class in basic ceramics is we actually buy our own clay. Okay, so the different stages of clay. You're going to have to know this in order to make this clay unit be very successful and not have your pots blow up. So slip, basically what you want to think about slip right here, that is your glue for your clay when you're joining two pieces. The only time you have to use slip though is when you join these two together, plastic and leather hard. You don't ever need to use slip with plastic and plastic, else it's going to get really super gooey. So what plastic means, right here, the word plastic, that actually means it's directly out of the bag. It's the nicest, softest, no one else has really used it before, and that's the most pliable, easy to work with. Next, you will have leather hard, and that's when the clay has been allowed to dry slightly, making it a little bit stiffer to support its weight. So if you're doing like the boxes and different molds, it's going to have to be leather hard, because if you pull it out, it's going to be too plastically, it's just going to flop on you. So leather hard, you can join to plastic. You can join these two together by using slip. Fun, fun. So those are the stages you have to worry about when it's in the stages of building. After it's all done drying out leather hard, then it becomes bone dry. That's what it needs to be in order to go into the kiln. So bisqueware and glazeware, these two right here, have to actually do with the kiln. So bisqueware is when it comes out of the first firing. Glazeware is when it comes out of second firing, if you choose to use, if you see the word glaze. You don't always have to glaze these. We do allow for acrylic painting and watercolor painting also. Okay, I'm going to kind of fast forward through this next unit part of the decoration because I kind of touched on it before. Glazing. We sometimes glaze if you choose to. It makes it look glass-like. It creates a shiny surface. There are some glazes that are toxic, so you can't use them for ones you would want to use for a cup or a bowl, but that's it. We don't use the other ones, so we're just going to skip over that really super duper quick. So in this next part, we're going to talk about different hand forming techniques. You'll see there's 4. There's the coil, pinch, slab, and mold. So here's an example of a coil pot. There's a fun coil pot. If you notice, you can see all the coils on it. And there we go. So that's an example of a coil pot. Miss D's just learned how to use this program, so I apologize. So the second option is a pinch pot. Here's a picture of a pinch pot. This is obviously, just like the word says, pinch pot. So it's going to look a little bit more like that. So you insert your thumb, go around, make it work. The end result, it's not the greatest, it's kind of like what you made in elementary school, will look like, voila, like that. So that's a pinch pot. A slab technique, they're really fun. You can make a box, you can create anything that has the different sides to it. So obviously you're going to have something, lay out your 4 sides and the creating of it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start to attach the sides just like we learned about before. It has to be leather hard to leather hard, else the sides are just going to flop right over. But there's an example, and then the finished product will look like, voila, there you have a box made out of slabs. Now we're going to look at some different types of molds. There's a couple different ways you can do this. We have different plaster molds you can use. There's one like this, where you'll actually lay your clay over top of it and make your shape to make a bowl. Or you can also do more something where you actually have to inlay it into a mold. They're really cool how they turn out. They can be pretty decorative and fun. So there's an example of a bowl that was made with a mold, and then here's another example. of a technique with a mold. So there you go. Now you're not going to really have to worry a ton about the firing process. Just know that there's different types of kilns out there. The one we use is an electric kiln. It's located in the 3D room, but you can also do reduction, raku. They look kind of cool. We use a cone that helps us to tell the temperature. And then what we also use, it's right here. We use stoneware, earthenware, this other one right here. This is earthenware. That's actually more of a red clay. We don't use that anymore. We used to, but now we just stick with the nice stoneware clay. And then I think that's all. So slipping and scoring is a major thing. I want you guys to not forget. That is how it's your glue. You got to score it with the fork to make it have an edge that will stick together, and then you put slip on it, and that is your glue that will hold your pot together so it does not explode. So just some things with the clay that you're not going to want to forget. You need to wedge your clay before you start. Wedge. If you have air pockets, that will equal explosion. Not fun. You don't want to have it explode on you at all. That would be like a bomb going off. Explosion! And then your pot can act like a grenade and hit other pots. So please, please, please be careful about that. The other thing you want to make sure you do is that, what were the keys? Slip and score your pots together. And you don't want your clay to be too thick either. It can't be. So you got to slip and score. And your thickness. Watch your thickness so it's not too thick and it's not too thin. And it's got to have a whole opening into it. It can't be an enclosed, else it'll be like a bomb right in the kiln. And you won't pass a class because you got to get at least one project.